everyone, it is Dani and welcome to this update video this Christmas Eve morning. I hope you guys are doing great, and we're going to be taking a look at what is happening across the region. We'll be going to the rainfall forecast, the wind forecast, and the long-term forecast for the end of this week, going into early next week, and to a greater extent a brand new year with regards to that next cool down, which may affect portions of the northern Caribbean. So we'll be looking at what models have to show in terms of that. But we're currently taking a look at the infrared satellite imagery, and there is some moisture across the Western Caribbean and even up to the Gulf. Let's look at the U.S. for a moment here. We can see all this activity making its way through. So a lot of heavy rainfall across portions of the southern states and the Midwest as well. We can see all of that activity, even some snow in those areas of higher elevation and as we head further north in latitude. But it's really going to be the Gulf Coast states which experience the most rainfall activity as we head through today, and that may trigger some flooding. So we'll be looking at the rainfall forecast map in a moment for the U.S. and the Caribbean as well. But going back to the Caribbean here, we can see that over in portions of the eastern section of the region, there isn't much going on. However, yesterday there was some flooding induced in portions of Jamaica. This video was taken in Port Antonio, which is in the parish of Portland in Eastern Parish, and it shows that a major system is definitely not needed for some significant flooding to take place. I mean, just look at how these flood waters were raging there. So sometimes it could just be some of these cloud patches which move through and unleash a lot of heavy rainfall, and something like this happens. So that is what happened here. But for many other areas, this was not the case at all. But there has been some periods of some substantial rainfall activity. And as we look at the rainfall forecast for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and even through the Lesser Antilles, a whole lot of rainfall activity is not expected today, especially as we look toward St. Croix and going toward Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, even Antigua and Barbuda as well. But there may be some showers moving into the region later today, all the way down through portions of Trinidad. Look into the ABC Islands. There may be some showers within the area, so you guys may receive some rainfall today. Not a must though, as we head toward northern South America, especially later this afternoon for Colombia, southern Venezuela, and the northern portion of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. There may be some showers as well, some substantial rainfall, and that may unleash some isolated flooding. Looking towards Central America, we're seeing some of these spots of these darker green and even these yellow shadings popping up. Panama, Costa Rica, headed toward Nicaragua, and even the offshore islands of San Andres and Providencia, going up toward eastern Honduras and even into Belize. We can see some of those darker green shadings. So some areas may receive some rainfall, others expected to be quite dry, as we don't see much shadings at all, especially for Mexico and much of Guatemala and El Salvador. Looking toward the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, there may be some showers moving through yet again today. And for Cuba, though, when headed toward much of Hispaniola and even portions of the Bahamas, much rainfall activity is not expected. Similar story for the Turks and Caicos Islands and even for much of Florida. But as we look toward the Gulf Coast states of the U.S. right now, we can see some of these darker shadings of these purples and even these pinks. So up to around 3.5–4 inches of rainfall possible across sections of Louisiana, even headed toward Mississippi. So there may be some pretty substantial rainfall there. Not the ideal scenario to be dealing with on Christmas Eve, but unfortunately there is that ongoing rainfall event. It has already begun, so it's just going to continue through much of today. Now, in regards to the wind forecast for today across the Caribbean, we can see, again, these purple and some of these spots of blue. So it winds up to around 16 going to 20 knots with those dark purple shadings, and then we're going over 20 knots with the blue shadings. So we can see that across much of the central and even going to the northwestern Caribbean, it's expected to be a windy day for some areas. So winds of at least 15 to 20 knots, maybe 25 knots, especially off the coast of Colombia. But for most of the eastern islands, in terms of the winds, not expected to be a very active day today. Also, looking to the Bahamas, the northern Bahamas, we can see some of these darker purple shadings and even some spots of those blues as well. So the winds there may also be kicking up, and also in the Gulf of Mexico. So that is what is expected through today. And so now we're looking at what models have to show in regards to that next cool down later this week. So this is GFS as we head into Sunday. Early on Sunday the 31st, final day of the year, we can see these blue shadings, and they represent below average temperatures, and the darker the blue shading is, the lower the temperature is expected to be. So as we head to Sunday, we can see much of the southeastern U.S. going toward parts of the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and even into some spots across Central America expected to experience those below average temperatures. And the story remains as we ring in the new year on Monday the 1st of January. Very early Monday morning, we can see these blue shadings still across portions of the southern U.S. and the northwestern Caribbean. And the Euro model is in agreement with this. This is as we head into Saturday, though, the 30th of the month. We can see that all that cool air is expected to be a bit more widespread compared to what GFS is expecting. Then as we head into the 1st of January, though, we can see that things are expected to be returning to normal for the most part, but still seeing some of those blue shadings across some spots in the northern Caribbean and also portions of the U.S. and the Bahamas. So that is what models are expecting, guys. That next cool down may happen as we head into the latter part of this week and into early next week. And of course, I'll be keeping you posted through the week on all that is happening and what is expected as well. So that is it for this update, and I hope you found it to be quite informative. But if you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments. I'll respond to you when I can, and remember to always be weatherwise.